Morning, everybody.
Morning.
My name is Shahid. I'll be running just the formal part of the ceremonies today as your MC. I have a background in computer science, and I have built many of the healthcare IT products that people complain about every day. So if you'd like to throw some stuff now would be a good time to do it, as opposed to during the day, because other people will be on the stage. In all seriousness, I'm really pleased to be here because a few months ago, Deb invited me to talk about privacy and electronic health records. And usually those two statements aren't made in the same long sentence. And so I was surprised that, one, it was an interesting topic enough from a technical perspective that we discussed it, but more importantly, that there really are things that we can do as a group. And that's why I'm really excited to have you guys here to hear about what we're going to talk about today and tomorrow around privacy. Because from my perspective, if we don't make changes at the cultural level within product management, engineering, entrepreneurship, et cetera, privacy, which we all care about and why we're all here, will be difficult to contain, control, manage, and maintain over time. So my job really today is to be sort of the guy who keeps reminding us during the day, hey, this is a great idea, but how do we make it happen? So what I'm going to ask you to do during the day is we're going to present to you an enormous amount of knowledge. Everybody that comes up here is going to be an expert at what they do. They're going to be really good at what they do, and they're going to be really knowledgeable about the specific areas in both law as well as finance and policy and some technology here and there. But what I'd like for you to do is hold us accountable and not just be talking heads, but really focused on, all right, you're explaining to me why something is important. Please help me figure out how we're going to do it. Whether you do it while we're up on the stage and the speakers are up here, or during the many breaks that we're going to have, we want to make sure that over the next year or so, when we return, we say, you know, something new was started here, some initiative in some small area that made privacy better, it improved it in some way over time, and that's what we'd like to see come out. This is the 10th anniversary of this particular conference. Any conference that has lasted 10 years means that the subject matter is very, very important, and people find it so important that the conference and the knowledge uptake continues year after year. So the way we're going to run the show today is we have a very quick introduction by our host here, which we want to thank Georgetown, of course, for hosting us here and giving us a great place to have this conversation. And then Deb, who of course started this whole thing 10 years ago, is going to say a few words about what she's seen in the marketplace in the last year or so. She just got finished with a TED Talk, so that's going to be exciting to hear about, to see what she thought about that. And then I'll say a few words about what I'd like to see during the day, and then we'll bring out our first speaker, Anita, at about pretty much at 9 o'clock. The agenda is in front of you, and you know the speaker bios, etc., are all in there. So most of the day, I'm not going to bore you by just reading directly from the bios. But if you have questions, please do come up to the mics here. Be on your best behavior. We're being, I think, live, at least recorded, if not being live streamed. Can we confirm? Is it live streamed?
It's live streamed.
It's live streamed. Okay, good.
The videos will be up in a couple weeks.
Awesome. So yeah, anybody who couldn't make it will get to see it afterwards. So with that, I'd like to bring up Larry Gostin. Larry, if you look in your packet, he wrote this book here. He's again one of the examples of how we're going to be presenting you with the top experts in these areas. So when you look at global health law, that's an area where Larry is a foremost renowned expert, and we're going to have him come out and talk to us about why did Georgetown want to host this event here, what makes it important to him personally and especially to O'Neill. So with that, Larry, just take a few words.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming. I'm Larry Gostin, and I'm the faculty director of the O'Neill Institute for National and Global Health Law, and we're partnering with Patient Privacy Rights to host this conference. And it's my really wonderful pleasure to welcome you. I think you all know what Deb Peel has done and patient privacy rights has done for America and the world in terms of bringing medical privacy and health information privacy to the forefront, making it real, and also trying to translate the theory into actual practice, as you said. The O'Neill Institute for National and Global Health Law is the largest institute here at Georgetown Law. It's the largest one in the whole university. And I'm very proud of our mission because our goal is to use world-class scholarship to make a difference in the world. So it's not just simply theoretical and analytical, nor advocacy-oriented, but really blending the finest scholarship with a purpose, and the purpose is to really improve health and well-being throughout the world. And important as health and well-being is, one cannot have it unless one maintains a sphere of personal privacy and personal integrity. Without that, people don't engage fully in health services. They can lose their job, their insurance. They can feel embarrassed. Privacy is a really cherished value in the United States, Europe, and so many places around the world. And it's really at risk. I think we all know that. I mean, hasn't the world changed in the 10 years since we've really started this conference with the proliferation of digital and electronic information throughout government, business, the healthcare industry, insurance, employers, and the like. So there really is a threat to our privacy. We see that every day within the medical sphere, but also outside it with the National Security Agency, the CIA. We see it in the debate on guns and mental health. We see it almost everywhere we look in our society. We pick up the newspaper, and we realize that privacy and the use of information may be the defining issue of our time. And that's why this conference is so important, so timely, why patient privacy rights is such a vibrant and vital organization. Deb was so kind. She said, well, what can we do for the O'Neill Institute and Georgetown Law to repay you for these wonderful things? And the answer was quite simple, is just keep doing what you're doing. Just keep making us think hard about health information and privacy. And that's really the greatest gift that you can give to us all, actually. Well, I'm not going to stand in the way of a phenomenal conference. Anita Allen, a great thinker, scholar, and dear friend. Mark Rothstein, one of the patient privacy rights honorees a couple of years ago, is here. So I just wanted to welcome you, to wish you all well, and to do good work, because what you're trying to do here is a defining problem in America today. So thank you and welcome.
Thank you, Larry. So just going to have Deb say a few words about the conference today, but just keep in mind that without these facilities, we wouldn't have such a nice show today. So just one big more round of applause for Larry as he walks up the stage.
Thank you again, Larry. I appreciate the compliment about the 10 years. Shahid and I were talking. It's actually patient privacy rights that's been around 10 years. This is the 4th year of the summit, but we would love to be here for the next 10 years or 20 years. And we really are very, very grateful to the O'Neill Institute and Larry for partnering with us every year as he has. So this is an exciting year for privacy. This This is really a key year, I think, in our history as a nation. The NSA, the report of the breach happened right after our summit last year. And so we're in a very, very different world. This year, I think you'll see that we're doing some of the same things that we try to do every year. We try to bring you new voices, new perspectives, people that you don't typically hear from in healthcare. And so I'm particularly excited that we have Anita Allen as our first keynote. She's going to set the stage. How many talks have you all heard about bioethics? Yeah, that's what I thought. Anyway, so she is an amazing scholar and thinker, and so we're going to start with her. We have also media experts, industry experts in privacy. We've got a really exciting group of people for you to meet with, and that's part of the summit. We have breaks, we have lunch, we have the celebration of privacy tonight, which you will not want to miss. And this year, our very special distinguished speaker from the EU is Peter Schaar. So he'll be talking a little later today, and he'll be receiving a Louis D. Brandeis Privacy Award tonight. So we hope you'll be part of that. So Shahid mentioned that I gave a TED Talk recently, and we have always said we have to reach the public. Most people in healthcare still don't understand that HIPAA does not protect privacy. It protected privacy for exactly a year, where consent was required before any use or disclosure of protected health information for treatment, payment, or healthcare operations. And a year later, consent was replaced with regulatory permission for the data holders to use and disclose protected health information for treatment, payment, and healthcare operations. That subtle change is why I started patient privacy rights 10 years ago, because no one knew. And most people still don't know. And that actually was what I talked about at the TED Talk. I decided to say, I want to talk to you about the greatest data breach you've never heard of. And it affects every man, woman, and child in this country. It happens that our personal information is in millions of databases that are unavailable and inaccessible to us, and it's accessed millions of times a day. It's legal. It's normal business practice. It's in the healthcare system. It's your health data. And so part of what we're going to be talking about is most of our health data is actually outside the healthcare system. And obviously, if we're going to have the ability to control personal information, we have to be able to control it wherever it is, inside or outside. So we have to think about the larger world and who's looking. And I would challenge you also to keep in the back of your minds, what does privacy mean to you? What does privacy mean to you? We use the definition, it means control over personal information, which is not secrecy. It's choice. It's your decision who you share with whom. That's really, and I could say this as an analyst and a person who studies relationships, that's the way people work in relationships. We really decide who knows what about us, when, and under what conditions. And if we're betrayed. So boundaries are very, very important, being able to set our own boundaries about who knows about us. And that's not possible today with health information. So that's why we're here. So on every panel, we try to have experts from privacy organizations, we have academic experts, we have industry experts, and we have top government officials. So welcome again, and think about what privacy means to you, and think about what effect does it have to not be able to control personal information. Think a little further. Think way beyond healthcare. Think about democracy. Can a democracy persist if everyone knows everything about us? I mean, it actually, that's what I've come to question and the clearest, strongest rights that Americans know they have, and have had until recently, is the right to control health information. So be thinking, be asking questions, as Shahid said, we want to start some new discussions, we want to start some new solutions, and you need to help us. We need your participation and your input, and I'm just so thrilled to see you. Thank you so much for coming today, and welcome to the summit.
Great. All right, thanks, Deb. So well, I'll just cover a little bit of material that we're going to go over today, starting with this morning's talk on the importance of protecting your own health privacy. And so Anita's going to talk about that, but what we want to learn from that is that without focusing on personal control of our own data, we're not going to be able to do much more. So we're going to start with that, then go to big data and mobile technologies, which how many of you were at Datapalooza? It's great. So the first couple of days of the week, we focused on how to just open up everything. And then the last couple of days of this week, we're going to say, hey, wait a minute, let's narrow this down quite a bit. So you saw at Datapalooza, big data and mobile, there are a lot of on stage, you'll see people talking about that, we need to be a little careful here about privacy, a little careful there about security, et cetera. But in the end, big data and mobility, our mobility of the data is the biggest threat that we face as far as privacy is concerned, not just of health data, but almost any kind of data. Because the more and more data we collect, the more and more data that can be released with or without our knowledge. So one of the things I wanted to talk about from the morning session's perspective is, what can we do to help the speakers talk to us about how to make things better, not just why they should be better? So, and you heard, of course, Deb talk about the definition of privacy, et cetera. In its 10th year, PPR, I think, has done yeoman's work in making sure everybody understands why that's necessary. But I want to put you in the life of an engineer, a programmer, someone who's writing code every day, and let you know that it's the last thing that we think of. So, as a product manager, as an entrepreneur, if you're building software, the last thing you're thinking about, and not for bad reasons. It's not like you're saying I don't care about privacy. You just say it's not the first thing on our mind. And that's a part of the culture. So, for example, even as little as 15, 20 years ago, we as engineers never thought, in the millions of lines of code that we write during the day, every day, how do we put security and usability and all these other ilities into our products? Privacy is that important. If we don't see privacy being educated into the mindsets of the engineers, the product developers, the entrepreneurs, the folks that were all at Datapalooza earlier this week. Datapalooza, for those that don't know, is also, I think, in its 4th or 5th year. It's the Open Data Conference. It started as the conference about data that's being collected for medical applications, healthcare information technology, medical devices, et cetera. And how do we open that data up so that new businesses can be created around it, and that health can be improved, outcomes of health can be improved, reduction of costs can occur. And when you look at these things and you say, well, who would say no to reducing cost? Who would say no to better health outcomes? Well, of course we should open up all our data. That's kind of dangerous, right? As far as an entrepreneur, an engineer, product management people, vice presidents of technology, chief information officers, they're not thinking about privacy on a daily basis. And that should be one of our goals is, what does that culture shift look like? Who do we have to talk to? What do we need to do? And that's where you're going to see, the great speakers that you're going to see today and tomorrow. Talk to them afterwards and say, I've got a company that I'm starting. What do I do today to make sure that privacy can be protected tomorrow? Because there's no such thing as adding privacy to a piece of software or system or a device that's already been built. Period. It just can't be done. You can't talk your way out of it. You can't put a press release and say you're more secure or more private afterwards. Security and privacy are both emergent properties of a system. And if you don't build them in from the beginning, it just doesn't work. So this is why I was thrilled when Deb called me up is can we talk about some of these things from a completely different viewpoint? Because we talk often about privacy from a compliance point of view, from a legal point of view. We rarely talk about it, and of course policy, everybody talks about it from a policy point of view. But the two things that kill privacy are lack of funding and money, and not putting it into the technical side of building of products. So when we see millions of lines of code being produced every year, hundreds of thousands of new mobile apps, health IT applications, medical devices, et cetera, and we're not putting those in at the beginning, it means that all of those, literally for every day that goes by, there's more and more lines of code that's been written that doesn't account for that. So one example I'll give you is, so Carnegie Mellon and Microsoft have put together a project in which they have started writing abilities for tools that can go scan some of these millions of lines of code to tell you whether there might in the future be a potential privacy breach. That's a big deal, right? Because we can sit back and say, let's make sure that we all care about privacy, let's teach everybody that it's important, but then without having the tools and technologies and capabilities, just like we have lots of tools that detect data breaches, that detect whether or not we have viruses, et cetera, these kinds of tools don't exist for privacy. And this is an opportunity, by the way. There are innovators, entrepreneurs, et cetera, in the room, huge opportunities abound, not just for people who throw privacy away, but for people who think privacy is important and they want to build around it. There are lots and lots of people who would love to get their name out of many massive shared database lists. Hundreds of databases are used every day to collect information about us. How many tools are out there that can identify that for us and help remove some of that data because we probably very rarely opted into them? So when we think about privacy, again, policy is extremely important because without it, you can't set the stage. Culture is very important, but we got to figure out how do we pay for things in a way that these products and things that we're building get their features and functions and screens. I mean, if you've ever used a health IT application before or electronic medical record before, you know that when you're looking at the screen, the entire patient record is on the screen, and you hit the buttons and you flip through it. Doesn't matter whether you're a nurse or a doctor or anyone, any kind of staff could look at almost any kind of data. None of that is built into the systems. Until we get that built into the systems to say, wait, you're a nurse, you're dealing with a patient inside that room. There's no reason for you to have certain kinds of data unless you ask for particular permission. That's a minimum kind of thing. And then there are also electronic consent and other areas of technology that the good news is ONC and the federal government is looking at those kind of technologies and those kind of standards. But we have a long, long way to go. We are in the privacy in the electronic world today where we were with computer security and hacking, et cetera, back in the early 90s, which is to say we're in a barren wasteland. Lots and lots and lots of threats are out there, and we have no idea where they're coming from, what we're going to do with it, et cetera. So it's a lot of attention. But the good news is it's a solvable problem. It's not that that the data is just going to keep coming and there's just nothing that we can do about it. It will be true that there's nothing we can do about it if we don't pay for it and we don't force technology vendors and others to do something about it, but it is absolutely possible that technically we can handle it. To help the speakers during the day, I'd just like to get a quick poll of the audience. How many of you are lawyers in the room? Oh, it's a good chunk. Policy people, government, et cetera? All right, that's great. Technical? Wow, we have a pretty nice mix here, and just people who care about privacy. Why did some of you not raise your hand? That was a trick question. I'm just making sure you were paying attention. So you can see, Deb was saying, she invited a diverse group of people. I definitely buy it. So we've got the techs, we've got the policy people, et cetera. Any finance guys in the room? Just one? You'll be helping us with figuring out how we're going to pay for all of this, right? So as I bring up Anita here to kick off the day, what I'd like to leave us with is the thought that as we see the data piling on and on, I mean, we haven't even gotten to the point where the genetics and proteomics and all the omics stuff has come in, which is, if you thought big data was big today, that's monster-sized data that's about to come down the pike. The bad news is that that monster side of data is coming and it could be leaked, et cetera. The good news is it has a lot of value and it's going to help save many, many lives as well. Our question really is, for this day and going forward, is what is the cost that we're willing to take on for these outcomes, for the lowered cost reductions, in terms of the loss of privacy? Many of us in the room will say, well, I don't want to bear any cost. I want to protect everything. Some of us are going to say, no, there is a middle ground that we can get to. We need a language in which we can talk about that to say it's okay for us to be on both sides of the equation, but let's make sure that we're all on one side, and that is choice matters. We definitely live in a capitalist society, and people can use our data and make money off of it if we let them. That's okay. What's not okay is not having choice. And that's the thing that we want to make sure is that if we leave here thinking, what the heck was all this about? Why did we go through all this? What's this privacy stuff about, et cetera? It's all about choice. Don't let other people decide for me what I'm willing to do with my stuff. Whether my stuff is data or money or my property, it's not important. It's mine, and I get to do what I want with it. You don't get to tell me that, hey, you know what, if only, and Deb gave a great example of this in one of her emails, is if you thought that my money was useful and just came in and grabbed it whenever you wanted it, I'd be a little pissed, right? But we let you do that with data all the time. If you thought my house, my parking lot was nice, you wanted to use my driveway whenever you wanted, is that okay? No, it's not okay. Nobody would say it was. But for data, we think it's completely okay because it doesn't have a cost, right? It's digital. It moves around. I mean, once somebody parks on my driveway, I can't use it. That's why I'm pissed. But data moves in an ethereal fashion. It goes around. It can be copied. It can be replicated, et cetera. So it's one of those things where we don't feel it, which means that it's even more dangerous and more insidious if we don't handle it really well. So just remember one word, and that is choice. What is this all about? What is this conference all about? And that is choice, choice, choice. And that's what we're hoping that we're going to get from the speakers today, and starting with Anita. I just love to bring her up. Obviously you've seen her bio. She's recently won a privacy award as well, so she definitely knows her stuff. Multiple books, TV, radio, et cetera. If we're going to listen to anybody start this day off, I'm just thrilled that it's Anita, because she's going to tell us how to make all of this happen. Welcome, Anita.
No pressure.